Given the importance of tracking the client's experience of the Alliance and progress in care, we developed two very simple scales. One is known as the Outcome Rating Scale. As the name implies, it asks the client to indicate how they feel about their functioning. This is tracked from week to week. The second scale is about the Alliance. It's called the Session Rating Scale and gives an indication about how the client feels about the work we did at this particular visit. Let's take a look at those two particular scales in more detail. Okay, the scales you've just seen on the screen are intended for use with adults, people 18 years and older. But there are also scales for children and even young children. All of these particular measures are available in written form, in a variety of electronic formats, and also in oral form. You can, in other words, administer these by reading them to your client, and there's a particular script to follow. Numerous studies show that these scales are not only reliable and valid in the statistical sense, but they're also really quite feasible. What does that mean? They are easy and simple to use. I like to think of them or liken them to a physician's stethoscope. It takes very little time. In fact, the measures usually take about a minute at the beginning and a minute at the end of the visit. Think about the waiting lines that would exist in the healthcare system if everybody who went to see a physician had to have an MRI before they went in. Of course, it wouldn't work. Neither does it work to have lengthy, long tools. Not that those are always inappropriate, but they're appropriate more when the client isn't progressing. Then we may ask more detailed questions. Some people look at the measures and they think, my goodness, there are only 4 questions on the adult versions of these particular scales. Believe it or not, we have multiple randomized clinical trials which show that routinely using those 4-item questionnaires with your clients improves retention, decreases dropout, and improves client outcomes. Let's take a look once again at these two measures, again in a bit more detail. The ORS, the Outcome Rating Scale, this is the version of the measures intended for adults 18 years and older. The measure contains 4 questions. 3 of those questions ask about certain domains in the client's functioning, their individual well-being, for example. Number 2, their interpersonal well-being. And number 3, their social well-being. You may wonder, why do we ask these 3 questions? Well, it's because these are the areas in the client's life that predict whether or not they see a clinician or not. When they feel poorly in those particular areas, they're much more likely to seek one of us out. The 4th question on the ORS is an overall catch-all question. If your clients ask about this question, what does it mean? You can simply say, it could mean an average of the rest, or it could mean anything else that wasn't asked about in the measure that you're concerned about. And then they mark on that line. The Session Rating Scale measures the aspects of the Alliance that we spoke about earlier. Those 3 important pieces are goals and topics, means and methods used by the therapist, their particular approach, and also whether or not you feel heard, understood, and respected. Finally, just as on the ORS, the SRS contains a catch-all item that asks the client, how was the feel of the session? Was there anything missing that they would like to have that wasn't there? Or was something there that they would like to have less of in the session? Again, checking in about progress and the Alliance gives us a crucial and critical opportunity to change the services to better fit the client. The ORS and SRS are available presently in about 25 different languages, everything from Arabic to Finnish, German, most of the Western and Eastern European languages. If you go to the website, download the tools, and the language you're looking for isn't there, make sure you contact us. We have a wiki-style organization that gets those measures translated into the languages you need. Not only are there versions of these scales for adults and children, there are also versions for young children. Unlike the adult and the adolescent version, The young child versions contain no numbers. It's a series of smiley faces. While you can't quantify and aggregate data generated by these particular scales, it gives you a crucial opportunity to check in with the youngest people that we happen to work with. Remember, dropout amongst kids is higher than it is with adults.